Guys, what is up?
What is up?
Dickie. Well, I'm Danny.
Hi, Danny.
From Grim After Dark. I'm joined here tonight by or this morning, because this is definitely not pre-recorded. And we did this this morning. I'm joined by Dickie, our lovable and venerable producer in this review. Yeah, and we're going to be reviewing Codex Space Marines and going over some of the changes, new stuff in the book, kind of the way the army plays. But yeah, I'm excited. Are you excited, Dickie?
Yeah, no, Marines are a big deal, and we should all be super excited about Marines. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, look, and even if you are not personally stoked about Space Marines, and that's fine, you don't have to be. This is going to shape the meta too. So like everybody's got to know this stuff to a degree. Like you got to know what Space Marines do if you want to be successful in the tournament scene, which is kind of one of the reasons that we're doing these book reviews, so people have an idea of what's coming out and what it does. So are you ready for that part then?
Yeah, I mean, I need to know. Like I'm going to be honest with you guys. I am the pokier Marine variety, so I like the spikes, I like the anger. But I mean, I should know my enemy, I guess, right, Danny? So
it's true.
Yeah.
You should.
Okay.
And you're gonna love the picture that I've chosen here today, Dickie, for this. Yeah, look at that. Oh, that's just beautiful.
I tell you.
some people really know how to craft a slideshow. If we can move on to our title slide here, you can see an executioner is braining some Black Legion idiot. With a
I like he's holding his hand up. He's like,
no, don't, please. I don't deserve this at all.
Oh well.
So kind of similar to the way that our Tyranid Codex review went, we're going to talk about new detachments. We're going to talk about some points changes, and I'm going to be real explicit about that. And then we're going to talk about changes to existing data sheets, some new data sheets, and then some overall impressions, as well as a couple of lists that I banged out that we can kind of talk about a little bit.
I'm excited for the new detachments. That's where the juice is. Right?
Everybody wants to see those. So let's start. So the first detachment we're going to talk about is the Anvil Siege Force. Ooh. So the picture on this in the Codex is a picture of an Imperial Fist. So I assume it's kind of designed to denote that. Just kidding. One of the things that this Codex does is it takes the Gladius detachment, which has remained totally unchanged and very viable still. I think it's still one of the best attachments.
Okay.
Is they've kind of focused in on each one of the different doctrines and made that kind of an army rule, more or less. Okay. So this doctrine is about standing still and shooting. So this detachment has the Shield of the Imperium rule. So ranged weapons get heavy, and if a weapon already has heavy, if you remain stationary, you also get +1 to wound.
Wow, that's quite strong.
It's very good. Especially for stuff that has, like, I think this is great on things that are indirect fire, because +1 to wound on them, because most of them are heavy anyway in the Space Marine book. Like I'm looking at you, Whirlwinds. Even just their normal troopers, like for instance, heavy intercessors and that kind of stuff with 30-inch range guns. Mm-hmm. They shoot twice with heavy with +1 to wound at strength 5, -1 AP, which is pretty good.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a ton of different units that have the heavy characteristic. You've got Eradicators, you've got Hellblasters get it, which is pretty nice. So a lot of units that you can get with +1 to wound as long as they don't move. However, 40K is a movement game, right? So like getting to the center of the table is really important. So you may not be moving all the time. You may have to take some units that don't kind of sack into this, or you can just Manny Chima and take all of the units that have heavy and just make a gun line. So that's a thing you can do. Let's talk about some strategy. So this obviously all these detachments have 6 stratagems. Now, unlike the Tyranid book, we're looking at a universal shared stratagem. Everybody has access to Armor of Contempt.
Okay.
Which is great. It's an awesome stratagem. It's a battle tactic. It's -1 AP to your enemy's weapons. It's just very good.
Very good.
So keep in mind, all of these have that. So you have like a durability upgrade that's potentially free on your captain units, like all the time, which is great.
Mhm.
So the stratagem here that I wanted to talk about that I thought was pretty cool is No Threat Too Great. It's a 2 command point stratagem, and it is a battle tactic.
Mhm.
And this lets you re-roll to wound rolls against a monster or vehicle unit in the shooting phase. Fantastic.
Yeah, there's a reason it's 2 CP.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But why not make it free?
Why not make it free or do it again for
Yeah, or
free?
do it twice. Yeah, have
Yeah.
2 different units. Especially now that and that's one thing I didn't touch on in the beginning is the change to Oath of Moment. Now, Games Workshop previewed the change to Oath of Moment. They
Yep.
removed the reroll to wound rolls portion of it. So this is another way for you to kind of tap into that. And I think after my experience playing Space Marines in a couple of for a couple of games, I think I played about 10 games of Space Marines. I think they need the 2 wound rerolls to make them really viable because they don't have a ton of super high strength weaponry. So I think that this definitely helps them keep that kind of that momentum up, especially if you're playing a shooting army.
All right.
Yeah, really great strat.
Yeah, really good.
The enhancement that I wanted to talk about is called Architect of War. It costs 25 points, so pretty spendy. But while the bearer is leading a unit, they get ignore cover.
Yeah, pretty good.
Which is just a really great 25-point upgrade, especially on a unit that shoots really hard or has good AP. It really kind of helps you maximize that benefit.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about how this kind of detachment plays. It's very static.
Yeah.
Or it will be static in order to maximize the benefit, but keep in mind it doesn't have to be. So you can keep moving around all you want, and you just won't get all the benefits of it. But if you do stand still, you're gonna reap some heavy benefits, especially if you build towards that and kind of with an eye on the heavy keyword, or I guess weapon ability. Dickie, what do you think? How does this sound to you after my description?
Feels like massed like heavy bolters or bolter.
Yeah.
Being able to get like a ton of shots downrange is what it feels like it does, and it has, like we talked about, the 2 CP to get rid of monsters and vehicles with all those shots. That seems pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Devastators with heavy bolters seem great.
Yeah.
Stern Guard, another good choice because they have heavy on their bolters. So yeah, some really good choices here. A great stratagem and kind of an interesting detachment, although definitely not my favorite one.
Oh, okay. Well, let's get to that one. Where is that?
Well, yeah, it'll be in the middle, so which is great.
All right.
I timed it perfectly.
Yeah.
So it'll be rise until we go downhill,
Okay.
which is fantastic. So the next attachment we have is called the Ironstorm Spearhead.
Ooh.
Now, the Ironstorm Spearhead is supposed to, almost all the stratagems are vehicle focused or better with vehicles. There's only, I think, 3 stratagems that can target any unit. Most of them can only target 1 unit.
Wait, Danny, is this going to be the Iron Hands detachment?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think so.
Boy. Okay.
It's great. So what does it do? Once per phase, every unit can reroll either a to hit, a to wound, or a damage roll.
Okay. That's very strong.
Yeah, expert crafters or master crafters or whatever, always a great ability and always totally fair.
Totally fair.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the stratagem I picked is probably not the best stratagem, but it's definitely the coolest stratagem.
Okay.
So you pick a Walker model, which is a dreadnought, and they get +1 movement, save, toughness, leadership, and OC, and then also it gets +1 to hit, and that lasts until your next command phase.
Yeah.
So
makes a badass dreadnought.
Yeah, it makes a dreadnought pretty badass, which is cool. +1 to hit is great, especially on tap like that. And then the toughness and save really help to keep you in the game.
But that targeted OC is a big deal, actually, because if you go, oh, there's 3 OC on that, okay, I'll just walk this guy over here.
Since it is in your command phase, if your opponent thinks that they're just tying you on OC, you can spend the CP and be like, no, this objective is mine now.
Yeah,
and
I got it now.
Or this at the end of the command phase. So
wow, that's super strong.
A cool little trick.
Yeah.
The enhancement, I took the most expensive enhancement. I wrote
course.
these out before I looked at their points. This one's great though.
Okay.
It's a 40-point enhancement that is an aura, so you know it's already going to be good.
Yeah.
Vehicles just get lethal hits.
That's. I mean, like the whole vehicle.
Yeah, every
Yeah.
vehicle, every
Wow.
gun just gets lethal hits.
Okay. All right. That's pretty strong.
So you know those Gladiator Reapers that get like 1 billion shots?
Yeah. Now they're lethal.
Yep. And there's also a stratagem
Wow.
to give yourself, if you're a vehicle, crit on a 5+ to hit instead of
Oh.
yeah.
That feels
Yeah.
like a pretty good combo.
Yeah, it's a pretty good combo. That's a wombo combo there.
Yeah.
There's another enhancement that we'll talk about because this is one of the lists that I built
Okay.
because it looks fun, I guess. It's pretty good. Now, this list probably isn't going to have as many models as other lists, especially if you build for it. So it's going to be kind of vehicle focused. However, vehicles are still really good, and there are some inexpensive ones, and so I think that this really caters to those.
Yeah.
You might get outscored on objectives just because your OC values will be smaller. So taking some small like OC2 or units might be a pretty good buy, especially if you take stuff that like goes in a vehicle.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good combination. But yeah, like I said at the end of it, but you must live to score. So if you're not alive anymore, you can't score any objectives, which is kind of, I think, the role that this list takes. It's not about control. This list is about death.
Well, I definitely see like taking some infiltrators, like pushing out that deep strike bubble. I think that would be a great idea for a list like this. But
give yourself some screens, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, those tanks hit hard, and I would imagine a tech marine would make sense in this detachment.
Yeah, I think I have 3 in mind.
Oh, just 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so this augury web has to go on a tech marine. I actually did not write that part, but that is a restriction. But
that makes sense.
Pretty inexpensive, maybe. Who knows? We'll talk about points later, but who knows what the points are actually.
All right, who knows?
So the next detachment is the Firestorm Assault Force.
Okay.
This is probably the best one, I think. It just
Really?
has the most versatility. It does the most stuff. You can build it a couple of different ways. I think it's really good. Okay. So this is all ranged weapons get assault. So that's great already because that has so many different connotations. Well, it has 2 connotations. Number 1, you can advance and get better lines of fire and still shoot. Number 2, you can advance and still do actions on your with your units, which is really powerful too.
I was thinking about that. Yeah, that's a big deal.
And so there's a second part to this. Oh. And as long as you attack with it, as long as you attack within 12 inches of your target, you get +1 to your strength value on that as well.
Oh, well, okay.
So it rewards you for kind of zipping up in somebody's face and
being aggressive.
Yeah, which is rad. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the stratagem I picked is a 2 command point battle tactic called Immolation Protocols, and in the unit, torrent weapons get devastating wounds.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah. And is there a way to give it a 5/6 devastating?
No, not on twin rolls, but there's a lot of ways to make them twin linked. I'll tell you that much.
Okay, good.
So either you can take Flamestorm Aggressors, which really weren't taken before, but those are twin
linked. Yeah.
Or you can take Vulcan Hestan. And he lets you pick a unit in that you can see within 24 inches, and you get full wound rerolls for melta weapons and torrent weapons against that unit.
Oh wait, so he chooses a thing, and that thing gets. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay. Okay.
I can't wait to show you my list. I think it's kind of cool.
Oh no.
But we'll see. And they have the best enhancement ever.
Okay.
So Champion of Humanity, 10 points. It's only on a Tacticus model, so that's like a Primaris Mark 10 model, not on a Gravis model, not on a Biker, not on a Terminator. Yep. While leading the unit, that unit ignores modifiers.
That's really good.
For 10 points.
Yeah.
That's wildly inexpensive. That's so good. Anyway, this detachment, and they previewed this on GW's on the GW site as well. This detachment has a lot of transport-centric strats.
Okay.
So things like you can jump out of a transport and shoot at what shot at you.
Oh,
Like if
that's
they don't kill your transport, you can spend 2 command points and jump out and shoot
just
back with
hop
the whole
out and
squad
flame
inside.
them down. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Or, with a squad of 10 Hellblasters, for instance, that's pretty good too.
I think that's good. Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
anyway, so this kind of relies on transport centric, which is pretty cool. Mechanized stuff is always fun to play.
Yep.
And like your being able to shoot from the vehicles, really great. Especially like impulsors and stuff like that. What a great detachment. I think this one's really going to be a winner on the time to come. Although Gladius still really good. So this but I don't think this is a Gladius killer or anything, but I think it's definitely up there as being just as powerful.
Okay. The salamander one feels pretty good,
Yeah, it feels
Danny.
pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so let's move on to something more salty.
Ooh, salty.
Yeah, I I love that, Dickie. I'm all about the salt. The Stormlance Task Force. Now, this one has the Lightning Assault rule.
Yeah.
So units from your army can advance or fall back and still charge. So it's basically
Okay.
Vanguard invaders, but for everything and not just the Vanguard units.
Okay. So it feels very White Scars. Okay.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
picture
Okay.
is White Scars. This one is supposed to be White Scars.
Okay.
And this is kind of keying off that assault doctrine.
Yeah.
So amazing if you're going to build an army that's meant to punch somebody in the dick. This ability, Ride Fast, Ride Hard, is a 1 command point battle tactic. You pick a mounted or vehicle with fly, and they get -1 to hit and -1 to wound until the end of the opponent's shooting phase. So it's both
Wow.
things for 1 command point, and it's a battle tactic.
That's
So it can
pretty
be free.
good.
Now, one thing you think, you look at this and you go, oh, well, yeah, okay, but what mounted units do you really have? You've got Outriders, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's true. But also there are other units and other books like Ravenwing Black Knights, for instance, can get this and making them -1 to hit, -1 to wound. Pretty good. Or
Wait,
Thunderwolf
Danny.
Cavalry.
Yeah, Danny, I was gonna say Thunderwolf Cavalry.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Thunderwolves will be really good in this. There's also a 2 CP strat. It's not a battle tactic that lets you auto advance 9 with a mounted unit. So on Thunderwolves, that's really good.
Wait. 9? Not
Yeah,
6?
auto 9 advance.
Wow.
Yeah,
Those wolves are moving fast.
they're very fast.
Okay.
Fainting Withdrawal is a 20-point upgrade for enhancement, and it lets you fall back and still shoot. So that lets you basically fall back and do whatever you want, because the main army role also lets you fall back and still charge. So you just get to fall back and do whatever you want. So for 20 points, I'll take
All
that.
right.
Really great on a unit like Aggressors, or like shooty Terminators or Eradicators, that kind of stuff. It just kind of helps you to keep up with the speed of the list and not get locked down in any way.
Wow. Yeah.
So, yeah, this list is very fast. I think you want to play this if you're playing a lot of really quick units, things like Assaults, Intercessors with jump packs, biker units, Thunderwolf Cav. I think it's great in Space Wolves.
Yeah. It's
I
really
think,
good in Space Wolves.
yeah, it's really good. And I think it's decent in Dark Angels as well.
Yeah, Black Knights
Um,
are still a thing, right?
yeah, 5 Black Knights will mess you up pretty good.
Yeah.
Especially if you've got somebody like Samael attached to them. Or well, I was going to say a captain on a bike, but maybe a chaplain on a bike, since the captain is not a thing anymore. So we have the next attachment we have is the Vanguard Spearhead.
Oh.
Dickie,
Yeah.
do you like to be -1 to hit?
Yeah.
Do you
That's
like
good.
the benefits of cover?
I love the benefits of cover.
Well, these rules can be yours if you play the Vanguard Spearhead and are more than 12 inches away from your opponent.
Okay.
Like every unit in your army getting that, I think, is massively good.
All right. So this is Raven Guard. I got it. Okay.
Exactly. So it's most of this stuff is keyed off of Phobos units for like the different stratagems and things like that. But
That's
I think
cool.
you can do some really stupid shit with it too.
Okay.
For instance, let's look at the enhancement of note, the Blade Driven Deep. It's an infantry only 25-point upgrade. While leading the unit, the bearer gives the unit the infiltrator's ability.
Oh.
Man, I've always really wanted to infiltrate like 10 Deathwing Knights. So I mean, yeah, you can do stuff like that, which is pretty wild.
And is it specific? Like, who are you allowed to give that to? Is it only
It's any
Phobos?
infantry model. That's it. That's the
Oh,
only caveat.
oh no! That's so aggressors could get real deep.
Yeah, aggressors. Now, one thing, so I was thinking, I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely want to take some aggressors in my list. And then I took them out. And the reason that I took them out of my list is because I wasn't building Gladius. That ability that they have with the bolter drill, I think is
Yeah,
what makes the unit. And
yeah,
so without lethal hits and that ability, I think that they feel a lot less good
yeah.
without crits on a 5+. But still really annoying to have to deal with 6 aggressors plus a character in your face on turn 1 that are shooting you and then
With
probably punching you.
flame gauntlets or whatever, and then they're
Yeah, or whatever you
overwatching
want.
you in your movement phase. Yeah,
Right. It's true.
that's pretty good.
Now the strat that I picked is a 1 command point battle tactic. As long as you're more than 12 inches away from you pick one of your units, and as long as you're more than 12 inches away from the target, and you get +1 ballistic skill and armor penetration on your attacks.
Oh,
And then if you kill a model, they have to take a battle shock test.
okay.
So, any kind of ranged firepower unit, +1 ballistic skills stacks with heavy. So if you stand still, you get +2 to hit effectively, which is really nice.
Wow.
I just think it can be, and -1 AP is always amazing,
Like
right?
hell blasters.
Yeah, Hellblasters, this is great on. Um, even Devastators, I think this is cool on. Yeah, I think it's a great stratagem.
Oh, yeah, Desolators is we're kind of
Oh
but
yeah,
like Desolators
Desolators.
with this, like
Yeah, and who knows what Desolators are going to look like. I feel like they're going to stay at 5, but we'll see what happens.
okay.
All right, last one we've got.
Mm,
So Space Marines got 7 detachments.
okay.
Is the first company task force. And this one has the ability extremist level threat. So once per battle in your command phase, you get old school oath a moment. So you get to reroll 2 wound rolls against your opponent as well.
Okay.
That's very good. That's a
Very good.
really good ability.
Yeah.
And they have some great stratagems. And as predicted, this is focused on Terminators. This is focused on Vanguard. This is focused on Stern Guard. So all the first company units that you would expect are better in this list.
Okay.
So their stratagem is you get to pick 1 Terminator, Blade Guard, Stern Guard, or Vanguard unit. After they get charged, you can pop the strat for 1 command point, and they're -1 to then the enemy unit is -1 damage.
Okay. Only in the chart, like after a charge, so only
After
in
they
combat.
successful charge you.
Oh, after. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. They
So
have to
not in shooting.
successfully charge you,
Okay. All right.
which is good.
That's pretty
Um,
good.
and then Iron Resolve is a 15-point enhancement, and it's a Terminator model only. And that guy gets a 5+ feel no pain. And then once per battle, after being targeted, you can make the entire unit 5+ feel no pain. Actually, I wrote the end of the phase. I'm pretty sure it's the rest of the turn,
Oh,
which
that's
is pretty spicy.
yeah. Well, this feels like like
No, I
Terminator.
was wrong. It's still the end of the phase. All right,
Okay.
so still end of the phase, still very good.
Yeah.
Especially when you need to keep that unit alive. Um, I'm looking at like Deathwing Knights being a good choice for this, or
Yeah.
even like I mean, yeah, or any like a Deathwing Command Squad or whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's just good.
Okay, so it's your elite detachment. That's pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
exactly. So this makes all those units better, which you love to see.
Yeah.
Um, Before we move on
Mm,
to the next slide, I wanted to talk about some of the changes to existing data sheets and points.
okay.
I didn't make a slide for this because I felt like it was complicated, so I wanted to talk about it a little bit. Points are really weird right now, guys. So, like, the points for the book are wildly different than the last balance update points.
Hmm.
So I don't really know how many points things actually cost. So keep that in mind when you're looking at like my lists. Is I used points that I felt like were the most reasonable ones for this, and I kind of built in a little like 15-point buffer into both of these lists.
Okay.
So if stuff costs a little bit more, a little bit less, hopefully it'll even out and it'll be the same. Now, as far as changes to existing data sheets, there has been a couple, but the Space Marine Codex is really, really big. And I didn't really have a chance to go through and micro-examine all of them. Some of the ones that I did notice were some changes to things like Stern Guard. Stern Guard don't get to shoot again if they kill a unit. They just reroll ones to wound against the Oath of Moment target.
Okay.
Which is totally good. It's just not as powerful as it was before. So, and that's fine. I think Stern Guard were probably very good for a while. I'm excited to see how Space Marine players end up adapting and what the points actually end up being. I have a feeling that we're probably going to use the Munitorium manual. I feel like that should be the resource for all points all the time, forever.
Yeah.
And not necessarily in these printed books, which become quickly outdated, as we've already seen. So, some of the things that I noticed that were strange in the points is like Assault Intercessors and Assault Intercessors with jump packs, same points.
Right.
Why would you ever take Assault Intercessors unless you wanted to put them inside of a transport?
Yep.
It just doesn't make any sense. So I'm not sure why they decided or why that was the design decision, but yeah, anyway. Let's talk about some of the new units here. The first one that I'd like to talk about is the Chaplain in Terminator armor. The Chaplain in Terminator armor, this is the first time we've had a plastic Chaplain in Terminator armor, and the first time that they've ever given a Chaplain like a Storm Shield, or a Relic Shield in his case.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool. Stats are what you would expect: toughness 5, 2 up, 4 up, save 5 wounds, leadership 5+, OC 1, like all of the normal stuff that you would expect out of a Terminator character. You can take a Stormbolter, or you can take the Shield. The Shield gives you +1 to wound. Stormbolter is the same stats as you would see in a normal Space Marine book. So 2 shots with rapid fire 2, 24 inches, strength 4, no AP, 1 damage.
So you're taking Shield. Got it.
Yeah, I think you take the Shields most of the time. Yeah.
Okay.
The only reason I can see there is one reason I can think to take the Bolter is if you're playing him in a unit of Assault Terminators and they don't no, that doesn't even make any sense. That's stupid. Take the Shield. Just take the Shield.
Take the Shield. Got it.
Take the Shield. He can go in Terminators and Assault Terminators and units that are like those. And he has the same abilities. He's got Deep Strike. He's got Litanies of Hate, just like a normal Chaplain. And then his Recitation of Faith is a 4+ feel no pain against mortal wounds specifically. So kind of the same as the Librarian.
Remind me, Litany of Hate is +1 to wound?
Yeah, +1 to wound in combat.
All right, perfect.
Which is cool. I mean,
it's really good.
It's a good ability.
Yeah,
very good ability. And the Leadership 5 is also really nice on him.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah. So
he's pretty cool. He's not incredibly expensive. I think he's 85 points. I think he's totally a reasonable choice to take if you want to put a Terminator in your, a Chaplain in your Terminator squad.
Yeah, so he's generally competing with the Captain in Terminator armor, I would assume.
Because you can't take both.
Yeah.
And if you take him, you also can't take a Lieutenant in the same Terminator squad if you really wanted to make a Death Star. So there's that disadvantage, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, cool new model. I like him. I like the model a lot. The next one that we have is sort of a brand new unit. This is the company Heroes data sheet.
Okay.
So these guys are like a Primaris command squad. The box is cool. It comes with 5 guys, including a captain that you can kind of make your own. So they have a bunch of weapon options for him in there as well.
Okay.
Pretty normal stats. Movement 6, toughness 4, 3 up save, but they do have 4 wounds apiece.
Oh.
Now there are only 4 models.
Okay.
Less cool. Yeah. And so they have to be attached to a captain or chapter master. Otherwise, they don't come to the battle. Yeah. So you don't even if you buy them, you can't take them unless you also put a captain with them.
They're the hype squad. I got it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So they all have a bunch of different equipment. The banner guy has a bolt rifle and a close combat weapon and a pistol. The champion has a mastercrafted power sword, so strength 5, -2 damage. I think he has 4 attacks and hits on 2s. The veteran that you can't see, you can see his feet. He's got a mastercrafted bolt rifle, which is 24-inch range, 2 attacks, strength 4, -1, 2 damage, with devastating wounds and rapid fire 1. And then there's the mastercrafted heavy bolter, which is 36-inch range, 3 attacks, strength 5, -1, 2 damage, with heavy and sustained 2. So if you roll a 6, he gets 2 extra hits. So it's like Tesla, but heavy bolter. Their abilities are fine. They get +1 OC in the squad from the Ancient, and if there is a character in the unit at all, they're -1 to wound. Like, so no strength component to there. Like, if your strength is higher than their toughness, then they get -1 to wound. They're just -1 to wound all the time. So strength 3 stuff is wounding these guys on 6s.
Why would you take this unit, Danny?
Great question, Dickie. I probably wouldn't, but I can see why people might. It's kind of an annoying unit. Like, if you wanted to have a captain and you wanted him to like get somewhere and fight somebody and be harder to hurt, like if you had a really good fighting captain, you could do this unit. But I'd rather take a unit that does more on the table before I get into combat. I don't know. I don't like these guys too much. They're rad models, though. The models are fantastic. I hope they get a points update or like artificer armor or something to make them just a little bit more viable. They're not super expensive, which is great because they really shouldn't be super expensive. I think they're they're 95 points according to the Codex. So they're a 95-point unit that you can take. Now these guys, the next data sheet, the only other new one we're talking about, jump pack intercessors. These guys are so cool. So assuming that they are actually 90 points for a movement 12 like intercessor body is pretty cool. OC1 is a little bit of a bummer, but even that's okay. Especially since these guys can do a lot of mission objectives and stuff like that. They have deep strike. Their Hammer of Wrath rule. Okay, so let's just go down the list here. For options, 1 out of every 5 can take a plasma pistol, and the sergeant can also take a plasma pistol, or he can take a hand flamer, and he can also take a power weapon or a power fist. So that's where really the killing potential of the squad comes out. Otherwise, they're just like 4 attacks each, 4 chainsword attacks each. So, which is fine, and -1 AP is cool. If you put a chaplain in them, that definitely helps a lot with +1 to wound. And their Hammer of Wrath ability is after a charge, roll a d6 for every model in this unit, and that's an engagement range of an enemy unit. On a 4+, they take a mortal wound.
It's pretty good.
So unit of 10 does like 5 mortal wounds on average if they make it into combat, if all of them make it in. Or you can spike it and do like 10 mortal wounds, and that's pretty wild. From these guys jumping on your head. I think they're a really cool unit. I hope they don't cost too much more than 90 points. But I think that they're a really reasonable choice in a lot of builds.
Well, you said that speed wins games, or speed's a big deal. These guys have speed.
They do. Yep. And movement wins games. They can get on objectives really easy. They're infantry too, so they can kind of like, be in the corner of a building and then kind of jump out and steal stuff. So they're good at that.
Interesting.
All right, Dickie. So after that, let's take a moment on the next slide, and we'll have a moment of silence here.
Oh, geez, Louise. That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Some of these are going to be felt pretty hard. I think things like
attack bikes.
Yeah, attack bikes are gone. That's a big deal.
Oh man.
Scout snipers being gone is a big deal.
Yeah, we
because the new scout squad, their war gear changed a lot. So you get like 1 sniper rifle per 5 guys, and they don't get camo cloaks. So you they have like no lone operative ability. The Ironclad is gone. The Contemptor is gone.
Oh, the Storm is gone.
Yeah, the Landspeeder Storm is gone. That was pretty popular for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't. Oh, you can't take Vanguard veterans without jump packs, even though they're in the same kit. And here's another important one: the Assault Squad is gone. So that's pretty iconic for Space Marines. I guess you're just supposed to use Assault Intercessors with jump packs instead. Which is fine. No servitors, so no cheap units for them either.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so a bunch of changes here. Keep in mind that stuff when you're building your list. You won't be able to take any Tyrannic War veterans anymore. So
wait, why the Primaris Company champion?
Oh, I don't even know why did they put him in the index, because he wasn't in the Codex. Why did they put him in the index and then immediately take him out when they released the Codex?
I'm trying to even think of that model.
They use a limited edition model that they released, and he's kind of holding his sword out like this.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I guess he's just supposed to be part of the company heroes now.
Okay.
Like an alternate champion model.
Champion guy.
So
all right, whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of dead units. So Space Marine list. Although I will say this, like the bloat going down is good, I think, in a lot of ways. Some stuff kept in, I wasn't really sure why. Why would you keep the Razorback? I think that's a bizarre choice.
Yeah.
And the Predators and the Whirlwind.
Yeah. And I did want to put, there are scouts. There's no specific.
Correct. There's a scout squad that's not battle line that you can take. That has normal scout rules.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Pour one out.
Yeah, pour one out for these boys.
Yep.
We'll miss you. Especially, I'll miss all my attack bikes, especially.
Yeah, I know.
Did you put it into a cup or directly on the ground?
They're on my leg, actually. I went with the bit. I went hard with the bit, and yeah, it's on the leg.
You know they deserved it, Dickie, for all the times they vexed you.
I'm sorry, all you Marine players. I don't know what to tell you. The Thunderfire gun or cannon has been a bane in my existence for I don't know how many editions now. So
and
get
think,
that thing
dude,
out of here.
it would get +1 to wound now.
Yeah,
just think it in the Anvil force.
Just think.
Yeah.
All right. Who cares? Get it out of here.
All right. So let's talk about lists. So the first list I made, I'm calling public transportation.
I like it.
So I try to make it kind of theme salamandery. So I've got my characters here. I've got a librarian with Champion of Humanity.
Yeah, pretty good.
Vulcan Hestan, Adrax Agaton, a 10-man unit of Infernus Marines.
I was hoping that you were going to use those guys. Okay.
Actually, I have 20 Infernus Marines in this list.
Yeah.
Okay, so think about this though. Like they're strength 6 now in this list because their range is only 12, so you're only ever going to be that. They have assault.
Mm-hmm.
You can flame all 5 guys out of an impulsor.
Yeah.
Which is really cool, I think.
Yeah.
And then if you want to jump them out because one of them goes into a repulsor, one of the 10-man does. Probably with Vulcan. And then they get out, shoot something. If you charge them, they get back in the repulsor because that's the repulsor ability. So that's pretty cool. After they overwatch you when you get close.
After they overwatch too.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then I've got 10 Hellblasters, and they get joined by the librarian with Champion of Humanity. That lets them ignore modifiers, including damage reduction.
Yeah.
And they're strength 9, and they can also jump back into the repulsor if they want to. Or after you shoot the repulsor, they can jump out and shoot you back.
Yeah, and then they shoot at you when they die.
Yeah, which is great. 2x5 Devastators with 4 multi-meltas. I think that's like with twin linked on Agaton. I think that's hot. Yeah. That seems really good.
Yeah.
And they go into a drop pod. 3 Blade Guard vets, and they get joined by Adrax. Yeah. Probably he might join one of the Infernus Marine squads. I haven't decided yet. I guess it depends on what
does Adrax do?
Oh, so he lets the squad reroll to wound rolls in combat.
Okay.
And then also if he's in engagement range, you have your OC value.
Oh, that's quite good.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. And he's
Okay.
got like a strength 10 Thunderhammer and a little flamer, and yeah, he's just good.
All right.
2x5 infiltrators. Um,
They're so good.
yeah, which is you need them.
Yeah.
And then 2 impulsors, 2 repulsors, and a drop pod.
Those devs need a drop pod.
That's right. They need a house. So you can also spend 1 command point on the devs if you want to, and give them +1 to hit if they're shooting at something within 12 inches, which is pretty nice after they get out of their drop pod.
Dude, my Tyranids are terrified about this list. Like, wow, that's a lot of flamers.
It's a lot of flamers. It's 20 flamers that are all, now granted they're like low AP flamers, but especially if I can make them twin linked against something.
Yeah.
With Vulcan, like I think I can do a lot of damage.
Yeah. Gotta fit a
So
Land Raider Redeemer in there.
that's in the next list.
Okay, good. That's a scary list, dude.
It's
My Gaunt Carpet doesn't want any bit of this flamer. It's like, no, you can have this planet. I'm gonna go over here.
Fantastic.
Wow.
I'm going back to Tyran.
Yeah. I don't
where it
want
all
any part of
started.
this.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's a really cool list.
I think it looks fun and it's themey.
Yeah, it's very
So
themey.
I like that part too. All right. The other list that I made is called Beep Beeps to Make You Weep. And this is this is the Iron Storm list. And so I've taken 2 Tech Marines. And now one thing to remember that's new. Librarians are librarians are librarians. So it doesn't matter if they're Primaris or not. It's just a librarian or a Tech Marine or an apothecary. Like that's just what they call them now. So they can join more squads now. Like the squad joining is a little bit different for some of those units. So they can join different units, which is great.
Yeah.
Though these Tech Marines are not joining any units because I don't have any units for them to join, but they do get lone op if they're close to my vehicles, which is awesome.
Which is where they're gonna be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both of these guys have enhancements. So we know what Master or Target Augury Web does, right? That's the lethal hits 6-inch aura.
Yeah.
Well, Master of the Machine War lets you still shoot vehicles within 6. It's also 6-inch aura. Lets you shoot vehicles who have advanced or fallen back.
Oh, that's quite good. Yeah, that gives you so much more movement. As knowing I have a Hive Tyrant for that ability, and no, that's a really good ability. Nice.
Like with that ability and being able to fall back, still shoot, I can advance and get closer. I can advance and do actions as long as I'm close to him.
Yeah.
I'm not taking -1 to hit for being locked in combat anymore in a lot of instances, so that's pretty efficient.
Yep.
And then I have Ironfather Farios because he's really cool.
Yep.
In a unit of 6 Eradicators because he gives them 5 up, feel no pain.
Oh wow. That's terrifying. Okay.
So they hang out in the Redeemer.
Yeah. As you do.
Which is a great choice for them, right? Yeah, he loves the Redeemer. And then 3 Gladiator Reapers. These are the shooting gladiators with the massive amount of shots for the lethal hits. 3 Ballistus Dreadnoughts. Just because they're super efficient, especially with getting a reroll to hit, a reroll to wound, and a reroll to damage.
Yeah.
And then 2x5 Assault Intercessors with jump packs just to do mission stuff.
Yeah.
And these could get replaced easily with something like Infiltrators.
Yeah.
Or something else. And then finally just a Whirlwind.
Just a lonely old whirlwind.
But it's deceptively more stuff that you have to deal with than you would think it is.
It's a lot of like area that you're taking up as well, though, right? Like,
I mean, there's 4 main battle tanks, and then also 3 dreadnoughts, so that takes up a lot of space. But yeah,
are back. Great.
Anyway,
so this is they didn't ruin the game last time. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful.
What's that?
Iron Hands didn't ruin the game last time.
I didn't even take the thing that lets you reduce a damage roll down to 0 on a vehicle within 6 once per turn.
Oh, Yeah, you were being really nice with this list, apparently. Good.
I
Thanks.
wanted to take Farios and the Eradicators. I don't think that that's the best choice for units. I think it would be better served by like anything else. I just wanted to take that unit because it seemed like a really fun brick to have, and it fits exactly into the Redeemer, which is an amazing tank, and more people should take them because their Overwatch is phenomenal.
That's super
With
crazy.
double Flamestorm cannon.
So this
Yeah.
thing's this army is putting a lot of damage downrange.
It's so many shots with lethal hits.
Yeah.
And then one of them is like lethal hits on a 5+. Two or three of these tanks are going to be ballistic skill 2+ effectively. From the Tech Marines. Yeah, it does a lot of stuff.
That's super cool. That's a really cool list.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Space Marines, pretty good. Pretty much the same though, right? Like there's not a ton of difference here from what their codex is, other than the changes that made them worse. So like the changes to Oaths of Moments, and the couple of the unit changes are less good, but we'll have to see how points shake out. But the new units seem really fun. I really like the different detachments, and I really like that Gladius is still probably one of the best, like probably the best 2 detachments, I think.
Yeah, I think GW is knocking it out of the park with this. Like, you get a different feel in your codex. You can play differently with regards to the detachments. So I think that's a super great concept, and I think it's going to make your codex last a lot longer, and you can play the army a lot longer as well. So that's super great.
Especially with the way that they've done factions now, where like the Tyranid one is probably not as apparent because any Tyranid list can pretty much play as any Tyranid list.
Yeah.
But like the fact that you can play any Space Marine chapter as any one of these detachments is amazing and really cool. And I can't wait to see like the people's different conversions for their characters that like go into their chapter that aren't the official character and that kind of stuff. I know it's going to be a lot of like lazy, like, oh, I just painted this guy in like White Scars colors, but like there's a lot of really cool conversion potential and stuff like that here. So I'm really excited to see what people's armies look like when the new book releases.
Well, let's see.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Yeah.
Please subscribe, like, give the old thumbs up there. We're trying our best getting this content out before the NDA date, or I guess on the NDA date, on the NDA time. And we're definitely doing this live.
Of course. Thanks for all the responses, chat.
Yeah, thanks, chat. You're the best.
Yeah, so like Dickie said, like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. And if you liked our jokes, first of all, I'm really sorry for you. And secondly, join us every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern time for Grim After Dark, where we roast the community and take a good hard look at stuff that's coming out. We even maybe have some serious conversations in there. Who knows? It's a crapshoot.
It is definitely
but tune in on Mondays if you're interested in that too.
Awesome. All right, Danny. Good night, friend.
All right. Same to you, man.
See ya, buddy.
It's time to step into the grim darkness with nerds gather talking Warhammer madness. Grim After Dark, the podcast with the hosts John, Danny, and Val, but they're not the most. Claiming to be experts, but it's all a facade. Talking about battles and dice rolls, they're all odd. Trying to sound cool with their Warhammer talk, but I'm here to expose it's all just squawk. Nerds, everywhere I see talking Warhammer this, like it's a decree. But let me tell you, homie, it is all just a game. In the real world, homie, we are not the same. So put down the dice, step out of the dark. It's time to live life, nerd, make your own mark. Grim After Dark, the nerds playground. Talking Warhammer this, acting all profound. But when I listen, it's all just a bunch of noise. I love roasting nerds and their stupid ass toys. Stupid ass toys, I wanna grab them, put my hands around the neck, squeeze, Warhammer squeeze, until they can't breathe again. Tell a friend, I'm out here roasting nerds again.